with the beginning of 2022, we now have 7 Disney Plus shows that I have personally seen. So these are the Disney Plus shows that I've seen ranked from the worst to the best in my opinion. Hi, my name is Nathan, and I talk about a bunch of movies, TV, film in general on the channel. If you enjoyed this video, click this like button and be sure to subscribe. I have more content like this over on my channel. You can check that out when this video is over. Down below in the comment section, share your ranking of the Disney Plus shows that you've seen ranked. Obviously, our lists are going to be different because we've seen different shows on Disney Plus. So, I get where you put some of yours in your list. And if something that you've watched is not on this list, it's just because that I haven't seen it and I wasn't interested in it. With that said, I'm going to begin the ranking. Coming in the last place, Monsters at Work. Now, you might be asking why I even bothered to watch this show, but the reality is I went into the show not skeptical, very excited to see it, actually, because Monsters, Inc. is one of those Pixar movies that just means so much to me, and it's just a lot of what Pixar has done. It's actually one of my favorite Pixar movies to date. But when it comes to Monsters at Work, I just thought it was a total drab mess and an utter misfire from Pixar. Like, it starts off with this new guy, Tyler, who goes on to Monsters Inc., which is changed into Monsters Laugh, but I just didn't really care about that all that much, and it focuses in on him and the Funsies, and I didn't really care about them all that much, and it feels like nothing in this show is plot related at all. Like, you have them having a funeral for a vending machine, and then you also have them blowing up closet monster doors. So I just thought that this was a total drab mix with Pixar. The more I thought about it, the less I've liked the show, and it's one of my least favorite things that Pixar has done to date. As a point of reference, every other show on this list I enjoy, I would give a positive review. Number 6, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, this is a show that certainly it disappointed me, but it did enough for me to enjoy it as well. On the positive side, you do have Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, 2 characters who have been horribly underutilized in the MCU, and they finally get their own show, front and center. You also have Baron Zemo returning in this film. He was just a nice addition to add into the mix with his dance moves. On a story level, however, I thought that, especially with the Flag Smashers, it had a few story issues in there because the show is trying so hard to convince the audience that the Flag Smashers aren't so bad. And when you do that, I believe you. And that's not really a good thing because an MCU show, it needs to have an urgent threat that needs to be stopped. And the Flag Smashers simply weren't that. Still, it's a show that I do like the performances. I do like the characters' dynamic and chemistry with one another. But it does have some issues here and there, and certainly it did disappoint me. But it did enough for me to enjoy it. In 5th place is Loki. Now, this is a show that I still enjoy. It's still an MCU product that I find very watchable. And to start off, the thing that makes the show work is the dynamic between Mobius and Loki, Phase 1, where they just have great dynamic and chemistry with one another. And I thought that it had a nice, intriguing mystery sprinkled all over the entire thing to give it a bit of mix and to hook the audience to say, oh, I want to see the next episode. Now, where the show falls a bit flat to me is because then there's this awkward incest plotline about Loki falling in love with himself, literally, and that just simply didn't work for me. And while we are getting a season 2, and I know that, I feel like we shouldn't get a season 2. I am a huge fan of this show, but the reason we shouldn't get a season 2 is because you have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness coming out later this year. that'll probably have King the Conqueror, because we know Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie will be in Doctor Strange 2. And we also have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, King the Conqueror will be in that movie. So it feels like a Loki season 2 is unnecessary, because where the show ended, it sets up plot lines for other movies rather than a whole other season in the show. Still, this is a great show with great intriguing mysteries, and there's always a nice little twist at the end of each episode to keep the audience intrigued. Number 4, WandaVision. Now, this is a show that I thought had a better mystery than Loki. Now, for me, I still enjoy Loki and its mystery, but I thought WandaVision did the whole mystery thing a lot better. By making their episodes sitcoms for the first 3 episodes, like, everybody that watched those for the first time back last year in February are just like, what the heck is going on? And it adds a bit of intrigue to all the twists and turns that happen in the future episodes. Especially in episode 7 when, surprise, Wanda's responsible for this, but some other witch is taking advantage of it. And that's just another big twist. Actually, there are big twists in the entire season of WandaVision. And plot lines from this show tie directly into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So I'm excited to see more of Wanda in that film. And just the way that Wanda and Vision act with one another, that makes them believable. It feels like real people, not somebody with telekinesis or an android. They actually feel like real people. And this show may have been the show of all of the Disney Plus shows on this list that had the greatest intrigue and mystery, that it sets the stage for the rest of the show and how much twists and turns are actually in it. In third place is Hawkeye. The most recent MCU show is still a show that is very solid and is very good. It's my type of show. One of my most anticipated Disney Plus shows also. What the Falcon and the Winter Soldier did very well was that it took side characters and put them front and center, and Hawkeye does that as well. But it does it better as they give Hawkeye sort of a nice little person that wants to be back in time for Christmas for his family, but has to do this mission also. So he's so determined to do both things as the family man and the superhero. Also, what makes the show work is the dynamic between Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. It's just amazing, amazing dynamic between the two. Now, it would have been like probably at number 1 on this list. It probably would have made it to my top 2, but Kate Bishop is really the lead here, not Hawkeye. So that kind of holds it back for me, where the character is probably the side character and the side character is the main character. It's kind of that kind of situation here, but it does have a bunch of things about that I like even when Kingpin shows up, Echo gets redeemed, and there's just a bunch of stuff in here to enjoy. It's street level action and high, fast-paced story makes it a very enjoyable show. Our runner-up is What If. Now, this is a MCU animated show that I enjoy, was expecting to enjoy, but not as much as I actually did. To start off the obvious, it is not related to anything of the live-action main plot thread of the MCU. But what I like about it is that it's not related to the MCU. And the reasoning for that is because the MCU has all of this weight on their shoulders because they have to bring in all these plot lines from other films and other franchises together. And so they have a bunch of weight on their shoulders. But what if, even in Phase 4, it doesn't have any of that weight? It could just tell wacky stories like, what if T'Challa was Star-Lord? What if the Avengers were zombies? And the Doctor Strange episode with Doctor Strange Supreme back there sets up like some plot threads that I suppose will be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm very excited to see more of that, and that's simply one of the best episodes in this show. So, this is, and I love that at the end, they decided to make a team up with all the what ifs. All the what ifs team up together to defeat Ultron, Sentry, or whatever, Ultron Infinity Stone thingy. And it all just worked for me. And I'm glad we're getting a season 2. I can't wait to see more of this show. But easily coming in first place for me is The Mandalorian. I was probably a year late to see this show. I had Disney Plus opening day, but I had no interest in The Mandalorian. Then, for the sake of it, I saw The Mandalorian, and I just absolutely loved it. It kind of blew me away with everything. I didn't see the show until season 2 came out, but it blew me away on every single level. Part of what makes this show great is because it takes new characters, no returning characters from any of the films in the Skywalker saga, and put them in this this TV show. And it just worked. It acknowledges the fact that a bunch of other stuff exists. And like the Clone Wars and the Rebellion, they exist. And it takes that in new directions and adds more plot threads to it with this show. Our characters are so memorable and likable. Especially like Din Djarin, obviously the Mandalorian. Grogu the baby. Queel the wise old man. Grief Karga, Cara Dune, just all these characters that pop, and there's something distinct about them that makes you memorize it. And of course, both seasons have their own little payoff at the end. The first season was about going on this journey, and at first Mando is like, just cares about the mission, and then he realizes how important all of this stuff in this specific mission is, and it's filled with very quotable dialogue as well. And there's a bunch of sacrifices in the mix, and so this is the show to me that had the most memorable characters, memorable stories, and the biggest payoff that any of these shows on this list have ever given faith to. Therefore, it is my favorite of all the Disney Plus shows that I've seen. Down below in the comment section, share what you think are the Disney Plus shows that you've watched ranked. Also, if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe. I have more content like this over on my channel. You could check those videos out. And stick around on my channel and hit that notification bell for when I upload a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one.